What's up, and welcome to the Very Best Self podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Brown. Tune in each week as I have candid conversations with inspiring humans, including athletes, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and anyone out there making waves. Get ready to leave your comfort zone behind, step into your power, and live a more purpose-driven life. I am so happy that you're here. Now let's do this. What is up? OMG. You guys, I am so pumped for today's interview. I am so excited to share with you. Today, we are going to be talking to Alex Aust. So she is my teammate on the Under Armour women's team. She is an Olympic gold medalist lacrosse player. She's a professional lacrosse player. She gives back in her community and also coaches young girls in lacrosse. But beyond that, she is multi-facetted. She just recently submitted to Sports Illustrated Swimsuit and has made it into the final 15. So we're going to talk about the Alex Aust, the swimsuit model. We're going to talk about Alex Aust, the professional lacrosse player. We're going to talk about Alex Aust, who has also an incredible community of girls that she, also does personal training with, and just who she is as a person, and sharing, stories about self-confidence and stories about how to trust yourself and how to step into your power. And I'm just so pumped. I think there's a lot of takeaways that you will find in this interview that you can apply to your life, and I'm pumped for it. So without further ado, let's kick this thing off. Here we go. What's up? What's up? We got Alex Aust in the house. I am so pumped for this interview. We haven't even started this conversation yet, and I already know that there are going to be so many big takeaways, and I'm just so pumped to have you and so excited to do this today. So thanks for being on.
V, I literally had a smile. This morning has been quite the morning, and I had a smile on my face knowing that I get to talk to you today. So I'm so excited.
I love that. Man, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to unpack that's going on in your life right now. I mean, talk about a whirlwind of a past few months that you have had.
Yes, it's been insane. I think for everyone, our lives have been turned upside down. Obviously, we keep talking about 2020 and the pandemic, and now it's things are kind of starting to open back up again. And we kind of got used to being holed up in our houses and fixing life and changing and adjusting. And now we're thrown back into everything a little bit. At least for here in Maryland, we lifted our mask mandate 24 hours, literally overnight. And it was wait, what? What do we do? How is this normal life
What's
again?
What's the procedure?
Literally. So whirlwind is an understatement. I know that it's been a whirlwind for almost every single person, but I do feel super grateful and fortunate because a lot of my past couple months has been all for really great things. So I'm living life for sure.
You absolutely are. And it's been such a cool experience for me on the other end of it to watch your everything unfold. So we'll get into it. I want to start with, let's rewind. Let's go to this time last year.
Ooh, okay.
I think it was around this time. You'll get the timeline right for me. So we're talking to, by the way, if you don't know already, Olympic athlete here, pro lacrosse player. She's a badass on the field, off the field. She also takes all of this and then turns around and gives back to youth and teaches them about lacrosse and the sport and what it means to be an athlete. Okay. So that's who you are and who you've been. Now, almost maybe I would imagine about a year ago, you decided to step into a different arena, and you made an audition tape for Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Search.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it's taken. And also fast forward, she's in the top 15. That's where we're at. That's where we're at today. Okay. She just shot with Sports Illustrated. I'm not just talking to an athlete on the other side of this screen, which is an incredible accomplishment in and of itself, but we're talking to a Sports Illustrated model right now.
God, that still does not feel real. And it feels so, I get smiley and giddy when I just even say the words. And I think you'll relate to this, and it's a little bit of a tangent, but I know I'll go back. But both you and I have done so many different campaigns for Under Armour, and we've shot, I know you've shot for SoulCycle, I've shot for different fitness platforms, but still never felt the word model. I never felt good enough or pretty enough or that I was the typical model. I just felt like I was an athlete that was given a really sick opportunity to shoot. And I remember, and still to this day, after every photo shoot, I look at the pictures or video and I'm like, who is that? Like, how do they make me look so awesome and so badass? So this was the first opportunity and time that I really came away and I was like, yeah, I'm a model and I'm not just an athlete that they're putting in because I perform really well or I worked really hard. I don't know why the word model holds such a different amount of weight and strength for me. Probably because a little bit of like us growing up and what we've always looked at as models. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been really cool. And so, yeah, even saying that I'm a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model is surreal. But yeah, about this time a year ago, it's always been something that has been a dream of mine, but not really because I never voiced it out loud. I was too embarrassed to even say that it was something I wanted to go after. I think because I've been an athlete my entire life, I've always really fought to be taken seriously. And I've been taught to fight to be as equal as the men and be aggressive and being taken seriously on the field. So always showing my feminine side kind of felt like it fell to the wayside or I had to hide it. It really wasn't until 2020 when I was turning 30 that year. And I really actually set out my New Year's intention was to be in the best shape of my life, feeling the absolute best. And then the pandemic hit and it was kind of like a blessing in disguise because I could really focus on what is making Alex, and this is right into, your whole thing is what is making me my very best self, Right. And I think it goes absolutely hand in hand of me putting in the work daily to be the best version of myself that I felt the confidence to submit my submission tape. Like I would have never in a million years done this when I was 23, even 27 at probably the peak of my lacrosse career. It didn't matter. I needed to really feel comfortable and confident in my body, in my mind, in my soul to be able to put myself out there on a completely different level than I've never done before. So I'm so grateful that I did. But yeah, looking back, I remember not telling a single person that I was doing it and literally not telling Marcus until the day before. I was like, yeah, I've been DMing some videographer. We're going to go out and film this thing. And he was like, amazing. Okay, cool. But it was weird. It was like this weird thing. I just didn't want to tell anyone because I was so nervous. And so just scared and fearful of the rejection or of people being like, why do you want to do that? Or that makes absolutely no sense. You think you're good enough. You think you're pretty enough. And so, yeah, I finally pulled the trigger, got out of my own way. And I'm so grateful I did because I wouldn't be here right now and I would have a lot of regret if I didn't.
Right. I feel that, man. That is so cool. That's so powerful. I think there's a lot to be said for so many of us about the quiet dream, the one that's quiet, the one that's inside, the one that we're like silently working towards and we don't share with the world. Because everything is so public these days,
Yes.
It's like people, what everybody had for breakfast every day. Like, I know what you ate for breakfast. I know what you ate for lunch. Like, phone eats first. I get it. Everything is like a tell-all everywhere we go. And so, even for me, this podcast is like, it's like something that I like didn't really tell a lot of people about. I think we maybe like, there's a part of us that's like, okay, I'm going to start taking these steps and it's just going to be a journey between me and me. And then the more, the steps are small and they're baby steps and they become larger. And then, it's like you crawl and then you walk and then you run and then you sprint and then you tell the world and then you want to share it with as many people as you can. But it's like, we get right with ourselves first.
Yes, that is such a good point. And I actually never thought of it that way too, because, you and I are so similar. We do show so much of our life that actually the most important things to me, I don't share with a lot of people. Yeah. And I know you're the same way. It's also actually being able to focus on the journey. And what I found throughout this was feeling the difference between doing this truly for yourself or are you doing it so that other people see that you're doing it? And it's such a strange mentality, but I feel like both are awesome motivating factors. And I think, if you have an accountability partner or buddy that, you need to post because that's when you work out, amazing. But for this, it truly was like putting in the work silently. Like you said, I love that, a quiet dream, because that's who I needed to do it for myself, not really to show other people that I was doing it.
Right. I don't know if you saw this on my Instagram. I talked about this a few months ago and it kind of reminds me of where you're at, I feel like, in your story right now. So do you know about the Chinese bamboo tree?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this is really cool. When you plant the seed for a Chinese bamboo tree, you water it the whole first year. And guess what happens?
I'm going to assume nothing.
Nothing. Year 2, nothing happens. Year 3, nothing happens. Now, somewhere in year 4, it finally breaks ground and it can shoot up into the sky up to 90 feet within 3 months.
What?
Yes.
Holy crap. I know growing like bamboo was a thing, but yeah, I didn't realize that all that work went in beforehand.
Yes. And so I find that to be the most inspiring thing I feel like I've ever heard, because
yes.
I'm just like, man, you got to water your bamboo and you plant this quiet dream, this seed, and you plant it in a dark place. And eventually it takes root and it grows. And what's so neat about that too is like, it's also this understanding that the outside world is like, oh, you're an overnight success, because they see you shoot up out of the ground.
Right.
And they're like, they don't realize how many years you were planted, how many years you were beneath the surface doing your thing, sprouting your legs and growing your roots. And like, we have to root down in order to rise up. And like, that's like what I feel like you were doing in this journey. And it's so cool to see.
100%. And I think that's such a good point of overnight success. It's also like, I think, interesting when you set goals, and, it's really important to do that. But it's also, what are you going to do on the daily basis that maybe isn't directly correlated to the mission, but right. is making you a better person to achieve that. And I think that's where it takes the pressure off a lot of it too. And it becomes fun again. But it's like, obviously, my gratitude practice maybe doesn't directly correlate to me being Sports Illustrated top 15, but it 100% did. Like,
right. Like if you sat down and you were like, my goal is I want to be in Sports Illustrated. I want to shoot for Sports Illustrated. Like you wouldn't, if you wrote the action steps beneath it, you wouldn't have wrote down gratitude practice.
Exactly.
But it certainly has like grounded you in getting to where you are.
Absolutely.
That's major. So you just got back from shooting. You made it into the final 15, and MJ comes on, tells you make it to the final 15. You're like, oh my God, did you shit your pants? Like, what happened?
literally, like I was sitting right here, and as true 2020, 2021 form, everything's via Zoom. And I just I was in shock. Like I really did not cry until I got to set. That's when everything I think came. But I really was just kind of still like, wait, what? Like, this is the words you've been waiting for. You've been working so hard for, and to hear it actually come out of her mouth, someone that it still feels like a little bit of a dream. I'm so glad they recorded it, because I can just look back and really truly feel it again. But yeah, I was overwhelmed with joy, gratitude, excitement, and just feeling so much accomplishment, and just really excited for what was to come after that.
Yeah. So what was it like when you showed up? Like you're there, there's 15 of you. How many people submitted? Do you know how many people were in the submission process?
Yeah. So they said a little over 20,000.
Wow.
Insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And to the point of everything happens for a reason. Timing is absolutely everything. They've had Swim Search the past 3-4 years, and it's always been an in-person casting. I would have never in a million years paid the money, put myself in front of these women, to fly down to Miami and put myself in front of these women, which is, I know seems so crazy looking at me now, but I know myself, I would not have done that.
No, I don't think that sounds crazy at all. I became a SoulCycle instructor because I wasn't going to go to New York and do the training for 2 months. They were like, oh, we're going to do a shortened program out in LA, and it's going to be 3 weeks. And I lived in LA, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. Cause like, why not? Like, you're going to be here in my city. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. And like, if it works out, cool. And if it doesn't, cool.
Exactly. And so I think everything being virtual, everything being allowed to submit it, and me to sit on my couch next to Marcus, so scared to press, post, that felt a little bit more comfortable to me. It felt like, yes, so many more eyes are on you. And I know you can speak to this too, but like social media is such a weird thing. It's like, there's some things I'm so open about, and I'm so ready. And I think my followers, they vibe with me. They're cool with me. They support me. So I'm used to it, but there's still things that scare the crap out of me. And that was one of them. But it was definitely more, I think, on my comfort zone to be able to do that and submit it and tell my story. So yeah, so we did that. Along with 20,000 people, worked hard over the past 8 months to just continue to stay noticed by them, but true to myself and true to my journey, like not putting all my eggs in that basket where if I didn't get it, then I would be completely devastated. Of course, I would have been disappointed, but I was still just sticking to my intention of being the best version of myself, really falling in love with the work and the journey. but using SI kind of as that passion and that motivator and that extra push. So once I finally got it and then arrived, it was, 5 days of a whirlwind. Like we had 4:35 a.m. call times every day. So that's waking up at 3 a.m., and
Wow.
we were shooting for 12 hours a day. We did not stop. And then at nighttime, you're like at sleepover camp. So you don't want to go to bed. You want to like hang out with the girl to the left or the right of you and like go knock on their door and talk and get to know these people. And so it was so fulfilling, but it was also, I'm not going to sit here and say that it is easy work. It was one of the most physically, emotionally, mentally tiring things I've ever done. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would do it tomorrow, but it's something that there's a reason they pick who they pick. And there's a reason that I was working hard for 8 months to be able to do that. Like you could not just throw someone into that. I think it speaks volumes about the team at SI and how impressive they are about picking the right people, because every single person fell perfectly into their culture. Like it was insane. All of us were so different and brought so many awesome aspects to it, but completely fell in line with everything that they stand for. So it was really cool to see.
That's really, really awesome. I love that. Man, I want to know in terms of like how you got ready for this and also who you were when, like how you showed up in that presence. What do you think you learned in sport as an athlete that translated? Like, where are the parallels? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
everything.
Alex Aust, who is a badass athlete, like that girl was present throughout your entire journey and she's still there.
Oh my God. It's in everything I do. Sports have literally taught me every single thing. And I think the biggest takeaway, well, there's two things. It's one, it's how to be a great teammate. And I think really like, I don't care if you play an individual sport. I don't care if you are a lone wolf out there. The person that does your nails is a part of your team, right? Like everyone has a team and a teammate and people that are cheering for you and fighting for you. And whether you know them or not, you're not alone. And I think a lot of people really, really go inward and try and do this for themselves and hold on to it instead of just like releasing and putting that positivity and empathy and affection and spirit onto others around them. That's what I think makes me who I am. So being just a great teammate, I think on the field has really translated to how to be one off the field, which I think is so important. And it's like I said, this SI group of women are such a team. The way they work together, the way they all have different roles and the way they support each other. I think that's what's interesting is everyone thinks this is a competition. So many more other people think it's a competition than me. When we showed up, I realized all of us are going through the exact same things. All of us have the insecurities. It doesn't matter if you have 300,000 Instagram followers or you've shot for every top modeling campaign in the world. We all are still women that have insecurities and need people to lean on. So I think that also takes a lot of the pressure and anxiety off of me when I speak to other people, when I feel their energy and we can kind of connect on that level, it humifies everything. So I think being a great teammate in sports is absolutely everything. You can't do it alone. And I remember watching The Last Dance and hearing Michael Jordan talk about it and say, I knew I could win, but I knew bringing the best out of every single other person was going to make us win 6 championships, right? Like you might win games, you might be the leading scorer, you might have it all, but to actually win it all, you need everyone around you to buy in. So
different type of mentality. Yeah.
100%. And even if it is weirdly selfish still, even if it is still like, I need you to perform so that I can still win. It doesn't matter what your motivation is.
Finding that synergy too with the people you surround yourself with.
Yes. And I think it makes it less lonely, right? Like it makes it like we're in this together. And I genuinely, like Victoria, if I don't make it past this and I'm not in top 6, I will be so happy for those top 6 because now I know them as people. They're not just these Instagram people that I'm against, I think being a teammate is huge. It's one of my biggest things I bring into my everyday life. And then second, the biggest thing I learned from sports is that confidence comes from failing. Confidence comes from working on yourself. Yeah. Like it's so weird. Someone asked me the other day about the biggest loss of my life or the biggest game like that has always stuck with me. And it's 100% the one that like hurt the most. And I learned so much from that. I could tell you every detail. Like I could tell you passes I didn't catch. I could tell you what time, where the time was, and I should have shot at a different,
what the weather
angle.
was like, all of it. Yeah.
Literally. If you ask me about championships, you ask me about the gold medal game, couldn't tell you one thing. Like literally could not tell you one thing about the game plan of the games I've won because the winning takes away from it. Right. So I feel that way so much in like confidence comes from losing and figuring out what made you lose and coming back from it. So that translates directly into SI because I started to feel my insecurities come up and I started to feel, maybe I was speaking negatively about myself, my body, and I trusted my training. I went right back to it and said, no way. Talk to yourself, Alex. Do not let that negative coach in right now, So right. Yeah, I mean, I say there's so many parallels to it and it prepared me so much, especially for a completely different type of competition I've ever had, but something similar.
Man, yeah, that's the truth. I feel like we learn the most about ourselves when shit doesn't go the way we thought it was going to go. And the thing is, like, life happens on life's terms at all times. Like you can make a plan, but like it rarely will ever happen that way anyways. And just speaking from someone who like is your Under Armour teammate, like I can honestly straight up say, like anytime I've been around you in your presence, you take that teammate mentality everywhere you go, and you've always made me feel welcome. And it's been dope to get to know you and like be your friend and be your teammate.
Oh my God. Likewise to you. I mean, I think we have a really special thing at UA with all the girls there. I mean, we definitely cheer each other on. We lift each other up. We help each other out. And I'm just so sick of like women being pitted against women. It literally, I feel it makes no sense. It's a tired
narrative. It's a tired narrative. It's literally over. Cancel it.
Yes. And I feel like when we were growing up, the cool girls were the mean girls on TV. Like all the shows we watched, like as little kids, like that's what you were taught. It's like, I'm too cool to actually open up to you. Where now I'm like, no, that's not cool at all. Let's all open up. Let's bring each other in. Let's lift each other up because we have to fight for each other or else we're not going to get anywhere.
I would agree with that. I mean, also talking to a TikTok queen over there. Like, what do you think about TikTok? This is just going off topic for a second, but like, what do you think about TikTok and how it influences like the younger generation? Do you think it also feeds into the narrative of like, let's support each other?
I think it's both. I think TikTok is an incredible space and I am obsessed with my algorithm because I'm like, I'm the funniest person in the world. Like these people are hilarious. They have the best dances, but I've also seen some like really tough mentalities on there for if I was a 13-year-old girl, like looking at maybe unrealistic body types. And I know we fought through it too growing up, but now it's oh, wow, I'm looking at a 16-year-old girl and I'm like, I did not look like that when I was 16.
Oh, that's the truth. Oh my God, that hits me to my core. I'm like, these kids have like YouTube to learn how to do stuff and they have TikTok to learn how to do things. I'm like, oh, that awkward phase? Like I was in my awkward phase, like well into like, I mean, almost my 20s. I was still
100%. I feel like I'm peaking now. Yes. Right. Yeah. So it's a dangerous place. I think it's also incredible. Like I love TikTok because it's super open and you can really be yourself on there. Like it's not as curated as Instagram. I think you can truly be funny. You can be no makeup. You can, just really be your authentic self. However, there are a lot of unrealistic goals that are being portrayed on there that I do get nervous about with younger girls just because they're consuming so much of that. And even I have to check myself sometimes if I'm consuming so much and I start to look at myself in a different way, then I cut that stuff out, So it depends on where you're at in your mentality. And if you are confident enough and strong enough and feel good if it makes you feel better about yourself, 100% watch it till the cows come home. If it makes you feel shitty, I couldn't say delete that app faster then,
Yeah, I feel that. So where do we go from here? You mentioned the top 6. The thing is, like, I feel like for everyone else who's on the outside, they don't really know like how all of this unfolds and like what it looks like. Oh, same. Okay. They announce the top 6 and then do those 6 get in the magazine and then they choose an ultimate winner? And is the ultimate winner on the cover or no?
Yeah. So these are solid questions. And what I think is, so I can speak on what has happened in the past and what MJ told us was going to happen. So, but speaking to past winners, speaking to past even women that have made it this far. So like some women, this is like their 4th year going out for it. And like, I feel so great. I mean,
15, has anybody ever made it to the 15 before?
Yes. So one of our top 15 has made it to 15 before, but it's been so different. They only did they did an in-person casting and they walked at Miami Swim Week and then they picked the top 6 from there. This was the first time that SI has ever shot this many people at one time. So already I feel like everyone else, like 2021 has just thrown, like you said, all plans out the window. Everything is scrapped. Like you can do whatever you want.
We're on the no plan plan. That's the plan.
Yes.
No plan.
Yes. So normally there's a top 6 that they only shoot 6 and those 6 are in the magazine. And then yes, there's an ultimate winner. However, last year there was 2 winners. So it's like,
I saw that. Yeah.
In my heart, I'm like, they're putting all of us in the magazine. Like they already shot us. We looked amazing. Like, I honestly, like I straight up feel this with my whole heart that I have already won. I really feel like this opportunity I've had, everything I've learned, the conversations I've had, the people I've met has made me a winner. Everything else from here is going to be extra credit. And I do think that mentality it's interesting. I see some of the women that are already saying like, when I make the magazine, this is what I'm going to do. And I think there's so much strength in that. Like, I just know for myself, I'm a more of a live in the moment, focus on the journey, and we roll with the punches. And wherever we get, I will then think about the next thing, right? Like, I think there's a balance for me. I can't think too much ahead, because then I'm like, I start to get a little bit
lost in the sauce.
Yes. I need to be more day to day, figure it out, work on it. And then if the opportunity arises, then like, all right, showtime, let's go. But I think it also prepares me for if it doesn't, like then it's like, okay, I'm still AA. I'm still got a lot of stuff going on and I'm so grateful. So yeah, I know.
For soon. She's engaged, y'all. So she will be tying the knot very soon in Tulum.
Yes, this December. But yeah, so that being said, the cover, no idea. They picked that on their own. Camille Caustic, like this is where I think MJ is. I mean, she is one of a kind in the industry, but also as just a woman in general. Yeah. She literally like
powerhouse.
The fact that, yes, like she took a pipe dream for someone like Camille and put her on the cover after winning Swim Search. And that just look at her now. It's
I know.
Insane to me, the amount of power and influence, and truly she makes dreams come true like that. And then some, like not like, I bet you, I mean, I know I've spoken to Camille about this, like no shot. She thought she was going to be on the cover. Like she even was like, I felt like I wasn't ready. Like this was deserving for other people who have been doing it. But MJ saw something in her, believed in her, knew where she was going to take this, how important Camille has been, I think, for being a role model and being a model for young women today, to look at her and say how real and authentic she is, that she's not, a size 00. And she's made her the it girl. And I'm so proud that like, that's the it girl people look up to now, so they make dreams come true. It's wild.
I love that. And I mean, I know I will be certainly cheering you on. And I mean, I'm so biased, but I'm like, yes, we will be having you back on again for a second interview once you win the shit. But I've been saying that since day one. I'm like,
yes, you have. You've been my support.
I just feel like, come on now. Gotta be you. I mean, I'm so biased, but I swear, I don't know. Anyways, so let's talk about like self-confidence. Let's talk about how to step away from imposter syndrome. Let's talk about standing in your power and what that looks like. And on days when you don't feel good, how do you pull yourself out of that?
I love that. I mean, and this question, I think everyone always wants like, 3 steps to being more confident. And it just doesn't work like that. It's so layered and there's so many different things and you only know you, right? Like as much as I love to share my story, I hope that it's not a blueprint for someone. I hope it's more just inspiring them to try different things out and then figure out what works for them instead of just being like, I have to do exactly what Alex says because she says that. Like, it's not going to work. All are different.
I compare it to trying on a sweater. Like, you got to find the one that fits you, like the most coziest fit. Like, you can get advice from all of your role models. You can get advice from everybody you look up to. But ultimately, like, you got to find the sweater that fits you.
100%.
Right? You got to write your story. You have to live your life. And something that works for somebody might not work for someone else, or something that works for someone else.
That's not to say that like, I love listening to so many different people and hearing their story on it. Cause again, it inspires me to kind of have my own twist on it. But when it comes to self-confidence, I mean, I can't stress enough. It's all about trusting yourself and trusting your training. And and training is, what are you doing to be more confident? Like, I think a lot of us just think we're going to like wake up one morning and all of a sudden feel okay in our own skin, but it takes work in anything. If I want to be more confident at, I don't know, driving, then I probably need to practice driving. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to have confidence overnight. So I think it's just taking a step back and thinking about, what am I doing that is hurting me? Like, what am I doing that maybe is a negative influence on myself? Is it who I'm surrounding myself with? Is it how I'm fueling my body? I think a lot of people don't think about their body as how important it is of a vessel to like making yourself feel better. Like, I mean, you and I are both in the fitness industry, so we know, but are you moving your body every day? Not to give yourself a six pack, but literally to feel alive, to feel good. How are you fueling yourself? Like, are you eating like shit? Because eating like shit is literally not going to give you nutrients that you need to perform every single day and wake up your best. And I think lastly, like, who are you surrounding yourself with? I mean, I know you probably too, like, it's weird. You get into your later half of your 20s and 30s and like, I had quite a few friendship breakups. Like I had a little bit of like, it's harder than a boyfriend breakup, I think.
For sure. It is.
And it's not always even about the other person. It's maybe how you're feeling around that person. And I remember, and this is a tangent, but calling Marcus one day and just letting loose. And he was straight up like, Alex, you don't talk shit. You don't talk negatively about anyone but this person. Like, so what is it? What is it about this person that's triggering something in you that you are complaining, you're negative? And I was like, It just was a light bulb. I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like this person has served their purpose with our relationship is, served its purpose. I need to cut it out because I'm not a negative human. And like, so I don't know. I think once you kind of figure out those things, then you can kind of wake up and start actually like speaking to yourself in a more confident light.
Yeah, I could not agree more. But for anyone out there who's had failed friendships, it's okay.
It is.
It's okay. Not every person is meant to be in every chapter that we have. It's that quote, everybody is in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, you know? And it's like, some people are not supposed to be there through all of it. And I think what I realized a couple years ago when I had some failed friendships, and it really, really crushed me. And it crushed me because I was like, man, like, was I wrong? Like, am I not a good judge of character? Like, what?
Totally.
I was like, how did I get this wrong? And I just beat myself up over it so much. But what I came to the realization is that while yes, it's true, not everyone is a part of your life, or everyone is a part of your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. We actually aren't the ones who get to decide which place they fall into.
So true.
So there were people that I chose to be in my life for a lifetime. That was what I chose. That was the role that I chose for that person in my life. And for whatever reason, they did not choose that same role. Right.
Totally. I mean, there's two people in it and there's outside factors. Like it is. I mean, I think, and I remember my dad telling me this when I was young, but he was like, relationships are the hardest thing in the entire world to keep. Whether that's friendships or actually like romantic relationships, they're the hardest thing and they take a lot of work. And I don't care, even though it may seem like you and I do it all, relationships are hard work. And I want to work hard in them as much as I work hard in my professional life and my athletic career. So there's only so much of you, and only so much of them. So I agree with you. It is okay, but it is a tough pill to swallow. It is really hard. And I think as women, we don't want to give up on people. We want to believe, or we want to change, or we want to, make everyone, and I'm such a people pleaser. Like I really have high outer self-awareness. Like I'm really like figuring out what makes other people.
How are you feeling? What can I do? Yeah,
exactly. So I think just getting a little bit more mature and realizing like, okay, no, I need to like protect myself too. Like I'm caring a little bit too much about others and I need to protect myself in that. And that's, I didn't mean for this to take out of like a negative turn, but I do think it's
I don't
important.
see that as negative at all. I see that as totally empowering. At a certain point, you're like, okay, we've reached the end of the road, and it's like, and that's okay. It's like a bless and release moment. You're like, this was a great friendship for what it was in my life. And like, I'm going to go this way and you're going to go that way. Yes. And like, I wish you well.
I love it. Yeah.
That's how I choose to see it anyways. I'm just like, I wish you the best. And like, we're going to keep on trucking because life is still happening.
Exactly.
So once you hit play, right? You're not play, submit, put your submission out into the world. Were there any haters?
Oh man, actually, no, not really. Okay, like, I know that's what I think. I was speaking to a really good friend of mine who is Katie DeFeo. I always name drop her. She's a senior at USC. She's so true in her conviction. She literally does not care what anyone else thinks about her. And I honestly, she's 10 years younger than me. And I always ask her, I'm like, it's so awesome to me that she just doesn't care. And when I was kind of going through this, she was like, Alex, like, I feel like you, with the family you've created of followers on Instagram, like they vibe with you. They're here to like rock with you. They're not here to, cut you down. I will say the only time I get haters is when like something goes viral. If something goes viral on TikTok or like one of my first ever reels like, had like random people.
Don't know. Yeah.
And I really don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really get a lot of hate. I think because I was super intentional about my message. I think it wasn't just like, I'm hot in a bikini, I look great. It was, I really wanted to speak about who I was representing, why I was doing this. And
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's share your message, the reason, the why behind everything you're doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think I represent the athlete, the sporty girl, the girl that doesn't fall into the model category that's, you know, a 00, but also isn't a curve model, that works out not for aesthetic reasons, but just to feel great and be the best version of themselves. Every training session I've ever done has been a performance session, not based on how I look while I'm performing. So that's what my body looks like. That's what my body represents. It doesn't represent. Of course, I look at myself and I'll feel more confident if I look better in a pair of jeans. But my body, I have finally accepted that my body is not going to look like the girl to the left and the right that isn't playing a professional sport, you know?
And your self-worth is not dependent upon it.
100%. Like it is, and feeling good in your own skin. Of course, we all are going to have goals we want to hit, but feeling good in my own skin is more hitting benchmarks that I didn't think I could complete in the weight room or on the field, or being faster, being stronger, and not looking at my body as a, why don't you look like her? Looking at it as like a, thank you so much for carrying me and playing in endless games and recovering from injuries. And this is how it looks, you know, like I'm not going to be the most shredded person in the world. I'm going to eat what I can eat to try and recover as quickly as possible.
We're going to do Oreo taste testing and
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, and so I think that's who I represent. And that's from top to bottom. And it's not just professional athletes. It's people that are ride or die soul cyclists, right? That don't go into your room to come out with a six pack. They go into your room to have a full blown baptism in sweat and be like, I love the way I feel. I feel like my strongest version of myself when I leave that room.
Yes. And that's always the goal. It's not about the physical. It's like, that's the bonus. That's the cherry on top. That's what I've been saying in my classes for so long. I'm like, man, like you want to lose weight. If that's like really what you want, don't focus on that. Put that in the rearview mirror. Focus on your mental health. Focus on becoming a stronger version of yourself, like mentally and spiritually. And like go into your workouts with that kind of mentality, and then use everything that you're fighting for in your life beyond weight loss, beyond an aesthetic, right? But like take all of those things and put them behind your biggest push, your hardest obstacle during your workouts, right?
That.
And then it's like, what happens is the weight loss or the transformation that you think that you're looking for, all of that happens on accident.
100%. And I love that you just said that, because if we are only focused on weight loss or losing inches, like our foundation, I think, is a house of cards. And that mentality is not a game you want to play, because there's so many other factors. I keep the same weight no matter what I look like. I maybe go up, and I don't even own a scale, but I just know my weight because this is what I've been my entire life. But when your motivation is the struggles you're going through in life, something that you want to be stronger about, then you just prove yourself so much further, right? Like if it's something so superficial as weight or inches and that has so many other factors, then it's like overwhelming. You got to dial it in, like you said, to that push, that obstacle, and think about what is my motivating factor for this right now. Then it's like you can just go so much further. So
much further.
I love that. That's definitely, I think, something to be celebrated. People that work and train every single day that look like you and I is something to be celebrated. It's not just professional athletes. It can be literally a young girl. Because I can't tell you how many times when I was in college, high school, I would look at girls that looked way better in skinny jeans and jean shorts and crop tops and just be so just like, feel like crap about myself because my legs didn't fit because my calves are too big to pull skinny jeans over, you know? Like, but then I'm like, I am so happy and confident in what I look like now because I see how much work I've put into it. Not to look the way I look, but like, this is the result of how much work I have done.
And when you put in the mental work, it's like, then you start to just fall in love with your body the way that it is. And any of those changes that happen, they're just happy accidents.
Yes, I love that. Happy accidents. That's so cute.
Yeah. Happy accidents. So, well, what does this mean for sports? When you are still training young girls and you're on the field and you're training them to be badass athletes, what else are we adding to the equation? What else do you think you're inspiring them to do through your actions that you've taken?
I think I hope I am allowing them and giving them a safe space to be all sides of them. Like I did karate when I was little and I used to step into a ring and spar. And my dad would tell me the Alex that steps right when your toes are on that line, who steps into the ring is a completely different person than the person that comes off. You can keep them separate. Of course, you learn something about both sides and you can bring them on. But but the athlete I am on the field, the vicious competitor, the person that will win at all costs is not the person that I am to my friends and to Marcus and to, my loved ones. So it's okay to be both and it's okay to cry. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay to feel beautiful. And that doesn't doesn't make you any less serious about the sports that you're playing. I think being a female athlete is one of the most badass things in the world. I know a lot of people don't love putting female in front of athlete. I'm just an athlete. Well, actually, I'm an athlete, but I also get my period and my hormones are all over the place and we recreate life. We literally 9 months make a baby, come back and win championships. Like men don't do that. Like, so I'm really I think it's awesome. Exactly. So I think it's not a this or that. It's both. Like, I think that's what makes female athletes and their stories so beautiful and so inspiring is the shit you go through, right? Is the other half of the coin. It's not, yes, we want to hear about, what makes you driven and what makes you relentless and tenacious and all of those things, but also like everyone comes with a story and everyone has their other sides and everyone has
soft side as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that young girls can be both and express both sides in whatever way is true to them, and not feel
like they have to live in a box.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, don't cry on the field, I would say. Like, try and keep your tears till you get to the car. But yeah, like, I think you're allowed to be two different people. I mean, you're performing when you're playing a sport. You are performing the same way you perform when you get on that podium, the same way musicians perform on stage. Like, it is a performance and it takes diving into a completely and tapping into a different part of your mind and soul than the rest of your life.
I love it. I'm here for it. So do we know what's next?
Oh, I never know what's next. I'm like, I feel like you said, like, I think what's awesome about this past year is like, you just plan to cancel or you plan to change or like it's really like taught me how to be flexible. But in the pipeline of the next 3 months is my season. So I'll play our season. Will happen again. Thank God I haven't played lacrosse in over a year, which is a year and a half, which is insane. But we will be playing for Athletes Unlimited is what the league is called. And it's mid-July into August. So I'm really excited to be around my teammates again and playing the sport I love and, just having fun and playing lacrosse, which is, I think lacrosse has given me absolutely everything. So I'm really excited to get back out on the field and do the damn thing. But yeah, so season and then December, getting married to Marcus. So that's kind of like my,
The whirlwind is just going to keep on going, man. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's funny. I was actually speaking to a friend of mine that's one of the finalists as well. And we both kind of had a moment of like, can I do this? Like, I'm a little overwhelmed. I feel like I'm not myself. I feel like I'm not, and it's not to glorify not having sleep, or I think everyone should sleep as much as you need. But every time I start to feel that way, and it's always, and there's a difference when it's about things you don't want to be doing. I think saying yes to too much is 100% a no-no. I think no is a full sentence. You got to say no to some things. But if you're doing things that you really have literally manifested and dreamed of doing, it might be a little chaotic, but like, I just sit back and I'm like, this is the life that I've dreamed of living. Like, I know it's going to be hard, but this is the life I have literally journaled about. So I think you have to like remind yourself of that. And I'm just one of those people that like, I live life like this, like I fly high and I fall hard, but I would so much rather be that than be a flat line, I want to live for the ebbs and flows and know that like when I'm at the bottom, that wave is going to bring me right back up again.
Yeah. Riding the waves, always riding the waves. So one question that I am going to ask all of my guests, and I'll ask you today, is what would you tell your younger self?
Oh my God. I love this question. I love this question and I change it every time, but it's interesting because I really would not change one thing. Like I wouldn't want to give my younger self any advice that would change my actions. And that's including the ones where I've really messed up because like we spoke about, those are the ones that I learned the absolute most was when I really messed up. And I am who I am today because of all of those. But I mean, I would say today, what I would tell my younger version of myself. I really like this quote. I love talk to yourself, don't listen to yourself. And I think a lot of the times that inner voice in our head, that coach, that devil, that like nagging little negativity is what always pops up because we're protecting ourselves. Normally when that pops up is when we're doing something that scares the crap out of us. So we're like, let's pull myself back. Let's not do that because that's too scary. Yeah. So I like talking to yourself more, speaking those positive affirmations, telling yourself what you know is true. And this isn't like, I'm so pretty, I'm amazing. Like literally just speak to yourself about what is true in that moment. I've trained really hard for this. I am so grateful that I am able-bodied right now. I'm going to work hard for the person to the left and to the right of me. You know, like things that are super true to you. And I feel like women have a really hard time telling ourselves like what we're good at or what we believe in ourselves about. Yeah. So I wish I would have utilized that more at a younger age and not just listening to insecure little Alex. Like just talk to yourself about how much of, or talk until you believe it, you know?
Yeah. I love that. Talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Anything else you want to add in or tell everybody where they can find you?
No, I mean, yeah, we kind of covered it all. I loved this conversation so much. I'm so excited to listen to all these episodes because I know you'll have incredible guests on here and you're amazing. But yeah, I mean, Instagram's probably the biggest and easiest way to contact me or see what I'm doing. Like we said, I pretty much live it all on the gram, but it's living just out loud. Yeah, it's just, I liked phone eats first. I really like that. It's at Alex Aust _. And yeah, and then I have my own fitness community, the Sweaat Life with 2 A's.
No, we didn't even dive into that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Your amazing community of women that, or I don't even know if is it just girls?
It's pretty much all girls. Yeah. It's like 99. Okay. It's like the 2 boys are like Marcus and one other guy, like one other husband that like his wife makes. Yeah. But yeah, so the Sweaat Life, I do weekly live workouts in there. It's body weight at home apartment. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So it's all at home stuff, but you can find that at the Sweaat Life with 2A's.com.
Yeah. And you can join that. I think it's $10 a month, right?
Yeah. Yep.
To work out with Alex Aust and have some of that good energy.
Yes. Yes.
Always with good vibes. And Bruce makes appearances. Yes. Pat, and so it's all,
he does.
All good things. Well, honestly, it was such an honor to have you on today. I mean, you just got good vibes, man.
I love you.
Vibes. I love the shit out of you. I think that, in terms of people who are authentic, I think I think of you. You're definitely someone who comes to mind whenever I think of authenticity. You make everybody feel like they're a part of your team. And I just am cheering you on so much.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And I can't wait to see what happens next. And I will be tuning in along the way. And I hope that everybody will follow her and cheer her on. Yeah.
Yes. I love you, BB. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. I can't wait. Okay. We'll have you back on when you win.
All right.
Knock on wood. Girl. Love you, mean it. See you soon.
Love you too. Bye.
Man, oh man, I told you today was going to be a good one. Such an honor having Alex Aust on. I really connected, I think, so deeply with this idea that we are so multifaceted, all of us, that we don't have to live in a box. We don't have to put ourselves into any kind of box. You can be so many different things. You can wear so many different hats. You can carry so many different titles. And I think there's a lot of power in that. I think there is so much strength in realizing that you don't have to label yourself just one thing. So if there was anything that inspired you today, please, 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 please share it with somebody you love. Give this out. Share it, share it, share it. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe. Give us a review. That is how we grow this thing. And we want it to grow. So I think that's all for today. I will see you next week. New episode dropping every single Tuesday. Of course, follow me on social media at Victoria Brown and follow our pod page at Very Best Self. See you soon. As always, thank you. I appreciate you for listening to today's episode, for hitting that subscribe button, and maybe most importantly, for leaving a positive review. If you loved this episode, please pay it forward and share it with someone that you love. That's how we keep this thing going. You can find me on Instagram at Victoria Brown or connect with me and the Very Best Self Squad on our pod page at Very Best Self. Don't forget, no matter where you are on your journey, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I'll see you next time, squad.